Hi, Tanisha. We will be talking about that actually in a second about English translation. In a moment, I'll introduce a translator, the interpreter, and who will be able to provide you more instructions. We're just going to wait for folks to join a little bit.
Gracias.
Okay. We're going to get started. So antes de comenzar, quiero notar que tenemos interpretación esta noche. Giovanna, nuestra intérprete, va a dar unas instrucciones sobre las funciones de traducción en inglés y en español. Giovanna.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Giovanna Wormsbecker, and I will be your interpreter in English and Spanish during this meeting. In order to provide language access, this meeting will have simultaneous interpretation from either English to Spanish or Spanish to English. Please note that the translation globe will not appear until after I read through all language instructions. Therefore, we're asking that everyone joining us for this event, please select your preferred language to facilitate hearing presenters and participants clearly. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, you will see a globe at the bottom right of your screen. Please click on the globe icon that says interpretation and select English. If you're on an iPad or your phone or a similar device, then locate the three-dot menu on the right corner of your screen. Click on language interpretation and then select English. When it is your turn to speak, please remember to be loud and clear and speak at a moderate pace, as the interpreter will be interpreting simultaneously into the other language. Buenas noches a todos, me llamo Giovanna Wormsbecker y voy a ser su intérprete en español y en inglés durante esta reunión. Esta reunión contará con interpretación simultánea, bidireccional de inglés al español y del español al inglés. El globo de traducción no va a aparecer hasta que se hayan leído todas las instrucciones en los dos idiomas. Por lo tanto, pedimos a todos los presentes que seleccionen su idioma preferido para facilitar escuchar a los presentadores y a los participantes con claridad. Si está usando una computadora, verá un icono en la parte inferior de su pantalla a la derecha en forma de globo que dice interpretación. Haga clic ahí y seleccione español. Si está utilizando un iPad o un teléfono, localice el menú de 3 puntos que aparece a la derecha de su pantalla, haga clic en interpretación de idiomas y elija español. Cuando sea su turno de hablar, por favor recuerde hablar con voz fuerte y clara y a un paso moderado, ya que la intérprete estará interpretando simultáneamente al otro idioma. Thank you. Back to you, Stephanie.
Gracias. Gracias, Giovanna, por iniciar los canales de idiomas. Como Giovanna dijo, hoy tendremos varias formas para que participe hoy. Va a tener las mismas funciones desde su computadora o desde su celular. Si tiene comentarios o preguntas,
questions, please use the feature of chat that will be at the lower right of your screen. It's similar to interpretation, and you're going to select the 3 dots on the lower part of your screen. And if you need to speak over the audio, please use the feature raise your hand option that will be also located at the bottom of your screen. And if you're on the phone, please press *9. These are the same features through Zoom on your cell phone. The same, and the lower part of your screen, there will be options to chat, to select your language, and to raise your hand. Today, you will have the opportunity to ask questions, and as I said, make comments after the presentation. Most of the time will be focused on listening your comments and answering your questions to the best of our ability. Now that we have this out of the way, now we're going to start interpretation. So then, good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Hernandez, and I am a part of the Land Use and Environment team of the San Diego County. I have the privilege of introducing Supervisor Tara Lawson from District 3 to make some introductory remarks.
Thank you to everyone for coming this evening. I don't need to tell you all that the climate crisis is an existential crisis. It is the largest environmental justice threat that humanity has ever faced, with billions of the world's poorest people, the people who have contributed least to causing this crisis, being displaced by severe droughts, rising sea levels, fires and monsoons, and cataclysmic weather events globally. The good news is that we now have leadership on the County Board of Supervisors committed to taking action on climate. And the actions we're taking on climate are an extension of all of you in the community. Last year, over 1,000 people in San Diego signed a petition urging the creation of this regional decarbonization and green jobs framework. Because of you, because of the work you've done, we are here tonight. So what is a regional decarbonization framework and why do we need it? We're talking about a framework for our local regional energy production and consumption so that zero is where we're going. Not just preventing things from getting worse, but asking where do we need to do and what do we need to do to get to zero, full stop. This framework is not aspirational. It's meant to be practical. It's about feasible actions that can actually be implemented and implemented now. Actions that can create green jobs and help hardworking San Diegans get a foothold in the clean green economy. Jobs in solar and renewable energy production and power, retrofitting buildings, battery storage and battery production, increasing energy efficiency, and clean vehicle production. This is key. We want to prepare workers with the skills to adapt to clean industries and help people move into these industries, all while expanding opportunities in disadvantaged communities. This plan will create high-quality jobs and build the green infrastructure that will propel our region into the future. That's why this regional decarbonization framework is really a decarbonization strategy combined with a green job strategy. We are focusing on steps that are practical and feasible right now because we do not have time to wait. Globally, climate change is already causing extreme heat, historic droughts, wildfires, sea level rise, billions of dollars in property damage, and threats to public health, food security, and future pandemics. These disasters amplify the problems that already exist in our society, disproportionately impacting communities of color, indigenous communities, and low-income communities. So the climate crisis is a climate justice crisis. The fact that the people who have the least will be hurt the most is an injustice that will define our future if we do not act. So we must match this historic challenge with historic ambition. The regional decarbonization framework will help us to reach zero carbon as quickly as possible and will help to achieve greater greenhouse gas reductions than the county or any other local jurisdiction could achieve on its own. Through regional collaboration, we're creating synergies between all the many different jurisdictions, cities, transit bodies, and other government organizations and agencies in our county. I want to thank our county staff as well as our partners at UCSD and USD for all of the work and research you have done to get us this far. We are so lucky to be able to draw on the global expertise of our colleagues at UCSD and USD who've been the backbone of this effort, this research-driven, data-driven effort to bring the best practices in decarbonization to San Diego County and put us on the map as a global leader in taking action to tackle the climate crisis. No region in the United States is doing what we are doing with this decarbonization plan, but moving this ambitious agenda forward is not just about research, it's not just about data, it's not just about analysis. That's the roadmap that tells us how to get where we are going. But to get there, we have to organize, we have to advocate, we have to stand up and demand that we implement the policies that this roadmap outlines. The more people who will hear about this work and get involved in organizing for urgent action on the climate crisis here in San Diego County, the more likely it is that we will be able to organize the political will that we need as we move into the next phase of work. So thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for being part of this. And if you want to get involved in how we move this agenda forward, please follow up, talk to our Luge team, talk to my team, and I am counting on you to be our partner as we move to decarbonize San Diego County. Thank you so much.
Gracias, Supervisora Lawson-Remer. Agradecemos
Thank
mucho.
you, Supervisor Lawson-Remer. And we appreciate your remarks today. And now we're going to introduce David Flores. He is the Policy Director for Supervisor Nora Vargas from District 1. Thank you, Stephanie. Good evening, everyone. I am the director, the policy director from Nora Vargas from the County of San Diego. I am here to share her message. As you know, and as the supervisor Lawson Reamer mentioned, the climate change is another danger that is affecting our communities in many ways. And as Supervisor Vargas, she's concerned about this and the effects in our communities. We are already noticing the consequences for this, the heating of our climate. Um, we're seeing wildfires that are bigger and stronger, and flooding and other natural disasters that we didn't have before in the region. Unfortunately, these impacts are affecting to the most vulnerable communities, including the elderly, children, and their families. So the climate change also is affecting the ecosystems, the production of food, jobs, our health and security. And as supervisor and representative of her community, uh, Supervisor Vargas is committed to create public policies that help us keep the residents healthy and safe during the reduction that we need to in the region. So as we continue to move forward to the future, where we're looking for clean technologies in environment and using vehicles with zero emissions, so we consider that equity is one of the most important pieces of all of this, especially for the ones that are most impacted. So we need to focus principally or mainly with the communities, um, because as we do that, we are gonna ensure sustainable change that we can actually work together as a region. So we also are going to work with the public entities that can guarantee the creation of jobs and for the communities with low income. Starting March of this year, uh, we started with this decarbonization framework, and this is the model of how we can provide clean air, also keep our natural environments, improve our buildings and make them more efficient, and also find ways to provide food efficiently, and then also maybe provide ways of public transportation that are cleaner. So we need all the cooperation, and so that these communities are prioritized for investments and also for jobs that are better paid. So in order to assure that the county could be positioned to develop these policies and the jobs in the economies that we need to develop, and that way provide opportunities for everyone, a prosperity in the long term. Um, Through this nomination with the air resources, um, and when we're working locally and also with APCD and the District of Air, to in order to guarantee that our region gets all the funding needed to accomplish our goals. The supervisor is inviting you to participate in the public meetings and provide your opinions as you're doing it tonight. The responsibilities is of everyone day to day. Please reduce your carbon footprints, to reduce your food waste, recycle, um, fertilize, to use different ways of transportation, change to more a greener energy, donate clothes, reuse plastic. There are many actions that we can take every day, but mainly getting involved and working in these subjects with us. Thank you for inviting us to this meeting, and I hope that you all continue to be involved in this cause. Thank you very much.
Gracias, David.
Thank you,
Quisiera
David.
agradecer a Supervisora
I would like
Reamer
to
y David Flores
thank
por sus
Supervisor
comentarios.
Tara
Saludos
Lawson Reamer
todos
and
esta
David
noche
Flores
y
for
por
their
realizar
introductory remarks tonight
esfuerzo.
and for
La
starting
Junta de
this effort.
Supervisores
The Board of Supervisors took important steps to advance the county's efforts against climate change that harms our community. The leadership of our Board of Supervisors has inspired similar initiatives across the country. Our goal with this initiative is to bring together all governments, industry, labor unions, and communities because we know that climate change is affecting our homes, work, health, and environment. This effort of this caliber cannot be fought in isolation because emissions know no borders. We need to work together as a region. And so that the county is here to hear about your experiences with climate change, like extreme heat, wildfires, and air pollution. Your participation will help to understand the changes and opportunities we have to overcome. Finally, before showing the presentation, I want to recognize that we are in the land of indigenous that have taken care of this land for hundreds of years. The county recognizes that Kumeyaay natives are one of the communities that has historically faced injustice. We aspire to learn from the knowledge of indigenous traditions to remedy the injustices of the past. With that, I'd like to introduce Professor Gordon McCord, who will present on the climate crisis, our region's efforts to reduce our carbon footprint, and then be available to answer any of your questions. The slides that we're going to share today will be available in English and Spanish on the website. I also want to remind you that this presentation is being recorded so that other people from our communities can listen the Dr. McCord's words another day. He is a professor of the UC San Diego, and he uses the Sustainable Development Goals to bring together political and academic leaders to inform evidence-based solutions for a sustainable future. His international research on sustainability in countries around the world includes Mexico, Peru, Paraguay, Jordan, and Sub-Saharan Africa. The county is grateful for Dr. McCord's experience, passion, and commitment to helping our region reduce our carbon footprint. Welcome, Dr. McCord. Thank you so much for your presentation, Stephanie. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be able to present on the San Diego Regional Decarbonization Framework. But first, we're going to talk about the climate change and what's important. Climate change refers to the fact that average long-term weather conditions like temperature, rainfall, and snowfall are different than it was in the past. Climate change has been caused by human activities that have released carbon dioxide and other gases into the atmosphere that have caused that the atmosphere trap more heat. This is why carbon dioxide and other gases are called greenhouse gases, because they heat the planet like a greenhouse heats up. This overall warming has caused changes to the global climate. Most of the Earth is getting warmer and is experiencing drastic changes to rainfall and snowfall, which is causing droughts, floods, hotter days, and hotter nights. A changing climate also means that the natural system will change. Climate change is affecting polar ice caps, forests, rivers, farms, and cities. This can mean that our communities in Southern California are likely to experience things like hotter summers, less rain, wildfires, droughts, and changes to food production. Our communities are already experiencing the effects of climate change, and it is critical to address climate change now. Some communities in the region have faced worse environmental conditions relative to the other communities, like hotter temperatures, worse air quality, and greater susceptibility to flooding and the effects of the sea level rise. These communities will be especially vulnerable as climate change worsens because the San Diego region is anticipated to experience more intense heat events like we face this summer, droughts, and wildfires. It is important that the efforts to address climate change focus on fixing these historic inequities. We wanted to pause here. First, we need to reduce. So this graph will show the emission. So that's what we are analyzing, 4 sections in this. The first, the transportation, generation, electricity generation, the use of natural gas contribute about 80% of the total region emissions. So that getting this as close to zero as possible will create significant reduction. Reducing this emission from this important sector is called decarbonizing, which means decreasing the carbon emissions from a process or sector. So why is the San Diego region preparing to decarbonize or drastically reduce our planet warming carbon emissions? First, the federal government is providing historic funding to help communities and governments to reduce their emissions. Second, California has set ambitious goals to reduce statewide emissions. Here are some, on this slide, you can see some of the policy goals set by the state that will impact our region. For these reasons, and we need to take advantage of them. That's why it is a critical time for our region to act together as a region to get to zero emissions, or in other words, to decarbonize. At the same time, we know that reducing carbon emission will require large investments in infrastructure, in buildings, energy systems, transit, and green spaces. Policies will need to ensure that these investments benefit those communities that historically suffer from environment problems and that are expected to face those worst effects of climate change. Investments can include, first, installing solar panels on homes, apartments, business, and in communities. Second, installing electric vehicle charging stations where few exist. And third, investing in zero emissions and expand transit, like electric buses and expanded rail lines. Fourth, replacing residential natural gas systems with electric systems to ensure that low-income homeowners and renters are not left paying more and more for gas as other customers electrify. And finally, planting trees and green spaces. There are also opportunities to align these efforts with the Justice for It initiative, which is a project from the Biden White House that sets a goal that 40% of climate investments should benefit disadvantaged communities that are marginalized, underserved, and overburdened by pollution. Finally, reductions in fossil fuels use and other decarbonization activities and investment will cause some jobs to disappear and will create other jobs. In January of last year, the County of Board of Supervisors initiated a study of how the region can drastically reduce its carbon dioxide emissions to address climate change in a collaborative, equitable way. The board directed staff to work with the University of California, San Diego, and energy system experts throughout the nation to create a region decarbonization framework. To achieve meaningful outcomes with this project, the county has taken an integrated approach. The framework began with a technical report, which I directed and which included experts from around the nation. The report scientifically identified the paths to reduce carbon dioxide emissions in the highest emitting sectors in the region. We also partnered with the University of San Diego's Energy Policy Initiative Center to assess the region's current efforts through climate action plans and identify what is missing to reach our goal. The framework also includes a workforce development study, which was led by Inclusive Economics and studied the impact that any future changes in regional climate investments may have on the workforce and opportunities for growth. The final piece of the framework is a playbook that will guide the implementation of regional decarbonization actions. This playbook will be an accessible resource that can be used widely by different players, including local cities. Here are some of the key takeaways from the technical report. First, the region will need to produce green energy from renewable energy like wind and solar power. The study found that there is enough space to build solar and wind power throughout the region, including large solar and wind plants, rooftop solar, and community solar. Second, this analysis found that there are trade-offs to building renewable energy, depending on where they are built, and that this will affect the total cost, energy output, total land use, and environmental damage. Next, on road transportation, such as passenger cars and trucks, buses and semi-trucks, create the most emissions in our region. There are two main important solutions. First, the region needs to reduce the number of miles that each person drives through increasing access to efficiency public transit, increasing carpooling, making communities safer for biking and walking, or reducing travel distances. Second, the region needs to electrify vehicles, including private vehicles like cars, trucks, and trains, and public vehicles like buses. These solutions will reduce emissions and they also will reduce air pollution, which is important for communities that have poor air pollution. Most of the emissions from buildings in our region come from fossil fuel-based heating systems like space and water heaters. The most important solutions are to replace these systems with electric systems when the gas systems break in existing buildings, and to not install gas heaters in new buildings. It will also be important for policies to make sure that everyone can switch as soon as possible, so no one is left behind paying more and more for gas as others clients electrify. The fourth sector is natural land use. Natural lands such as forests, shrublands, wetlands, grasslands, and deserts, and agricultural lands naturally capture and store carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. By protecting and restoring these lands, the land in the region can provide a solution to climate change. Protecting and restoring these lands also cleans the air and water, provides habitat for wildlife, and provides food and recreation for our communities. Another analysis in the technical report looked at how many emissions the climate action plans of cities and jurisdiction could reduce. This analysis found that even the best climate action plans won't get the region to zero. This shows that we need to work together as a region to reduce more emissions than we are currently doing. Investments in addressing climate change will create jobs in the energy sector and related sectors throughout the region. The technical report found that this investment will create approximately 27,000 jobs per year through 2030, resulting in a net increase in jobs during those years. The new jobs will include everything from freight movers and bus drivers to a variety of construction trades. After 2030, however, the results change and there might not be net increases in jobs depending on policy choices. Additionally, the job quality of these jobs is uncertain. Currently, fossil fuel jobs have higher healthcare coverage, higher union membership, and provide opportunities for workers with a high school or less, people of color, and women. Policy choices can create high-quality jobs from climate investments. What are these jobs of higher level jobs? A complementary report analyzed how the San Diego's region climate investment can support high road jobs. This work was done by Inclusive Economics. Briefly, high road jobs are jobs that ensure both job quality and job access. Job equality characteristics include family supporting wages and benefits, second, high standards for health and safety, third, long-term career pathways, fourth, worker protections, including the right to organize. The job access characteristics include first, access and entry points for local workers, training to support advancement. The author noted that this is a win-win approach for employers and the community, including environmental interests and labor. The developers have made clear that they are not interested in a low road approach here. They want good safety standard, long-term jobs, train and a stable workforce, and community support for what they are doing. There are strategies that have helped workers elsewhere that are applicable to the San Diego region. These include supporting workers in a new and expanded sector through ensuring that these jobs are high quality jobs. For example, policies could ensure that the workers in new green jobs are able to unionize and if they choose, and that these jobs provide family support and benefits and wages. Second, supporting workers in declining sectors so that they can get other jobs with similar pay, benefits, and quality. Creating jobs training programs that support a just transition. This could include strategies to employ fossil fuel workers in green careers that utilize their skills. Such careers may include working in waste to energy, lithium extraction, district thermal energy, or on-site water reuse. Finally, developing partnerships for acquiring federal and state funding to support workers. Examples could include partnerships with community college, apprenticeships programs, and other programs to create a pipeline to high quality careers in green industries. Now, to finish, we know that the climate change is having a real impact in our communities and that this is the time to act. Our region has the tools to decarbonize, and we're going to work to reduce our regional emissions significantly over the next 30 years. And we know that through our efforts to drastically reduce our emissions, climate justice must be a central consideration. To do this, all communities should be at the table to shape investments, policies, and job impacts of the decarbonization. Thank you very much, and I will be happy to answer any questions. And now I will turn it over to Stephanie. Many thanks to Dr. McCord. It's very fascinating everything that you've done with San Diego and the region. I just wanted to give the opportunity for anyone who has a question, either in English or in Spanish. If you could add it on the chat, or you could raise your hand. I will give you a few minutes if you like to do that. I don't see that there are any questions or comments. Many people can take the information at different times, so no problem. Before we're done. Oh, was there a question?
Yeah, hi, my name is Tanisha Jean Martin, and I'm the Climate Community Director for San Diego Urban Sustainability Coalition. And first, I want to start by saying I appreciate and thank you for a very thorough and seeming passionate presentation. Being on the other end, because usually, I facilitate the workshops for the District 4, 8, and 9 for Southeast San Diego, and being on the other end where I'm getting the translator side and seeing how it is if we had any Spanish involvement coming in. This is amazing. And I can see the value of being able to present this to all of our Hispanic and Spanish speaking community members in the Southeast San Diego district area. And so I just would like to, again, I'll put my email in the chat. but I'm doing a lot of work right now with the REACH codes to bring decarbonization into the framework. And I don't know if there's anyone who's available, but I would love to be able to provide not only what's been presented here, but also a little bit more on just what the REACH codes are on all the buildings that are being built around the areas in Espanol and in Spanish if possible. So if I can put my email in the chat, if anyone is willing or able and wants to work with the Southeast San Diego area, I would love to be able to speak with you and further. And again, just thank you so much for allowing this presentation, not only in Spanish, but in English as well.
Gracias,
Thank
Tanisha.
you. Thank you, Tanisha. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Antes que terminamos hoy,
So
quería
before
informarles sobre algunas
finishing today,
oportunidades
I just wanted to let
adicionales.
you know
En
about
este
some
momento, el
opportunities.
condado está
The
trabajando
county is currently working on a manual for individuals, organizations, and communities that are focused on the steps they can take to reduce emissions and decarbonize. This document will be a free resource and will be available for your comments soon. In addition, the county is hosting a series of meetings in each district in person with an option to participate live in the evenings in this January. These meetings will go deeper into all the details in your community. We will send the information via email to everyone who registered for tonight's Zoom meeting. And please feel free to share with your friends and family and community. Also, this presentation will be available on our website where you can share it, as I said, with your friends, family, and community. We intend to present this information and your feedback to our board of supervisors in the spring, who will make the decisions based on your feedback. And finally, thank you to all of you. We really value your participation in our movement to reduce the region's carbon footprint and invite your comments and questions on our website by phone or via email. Here is the email, and this is the information. And I see that somebody has a question.
Hi, thank you so much for this presentation. I'm Dr. Tiffany Boyd Hodgson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm an elected official in the Vallecitos Water District up in North County in San Marcos. And I really appreciate all of this information and the reports. I'm wondering if there are any discussions about partnering with water agencies to try to help inform climate action plans or some kind of mutual exchange. And also, as a concerned citizen, how would you suggest that I get involved in this particular initiative? Thank you.
Stephanie, ¿quieres que responda yo?
Sí, sí, gusta responder para la parte última.
Stephanie, yes, could you please just, if you can let her know what they can do in the community, and also Murtaza is gonna answer the rest of the question. Well, for the second part of the question, as how we all as citizens can get involved in this process of decarbonization, is that we can do constantly is just show up in the political process. This is very complex, and our political leaders through our cities and statewide, they have a lot of decisions, very difficult decisions that they have to make. And as we get involved as citizens, we reinforce once and again that the decarbonation is a priority for the population. So then this motivates them for them to make the decisions that they need to make. And that's the first part. And then second, as people in our private lives, as owners, or for example, if we have a property, start thinking, how can I start decarbonizing the house where I live, the building where I live, the office where I work? What are the challenges to decarbonize all these structures? How I can decarbonize my daily transportation? How I can make how can I do so that I can use public transportation instead of private transportation for those people that have the means to buy maybe electrical vehicles, and the people that don't start thinking how in the long term we and our families start using the public transportation that will be more electrified with the time passing. So I think that would be my suggestion. In get involved with the political process, keep pushing the decarbonization process, and also trying to make choices in our private lives, how we can take steps to decarbonize in our daily life.
Gracias, Dr. McCord.
Thank you, Dr. McCord. Murtada?
So, my name is Murtaza Baksamusa. I'm the program manager for regional sustainability here at the Office of Sustainability and Environmental Justice. We manage this regional decarbonization program. So so I really appreciate your questions. Tanisha, I'm going to email you so we can connect on the work you're doing. And Dr. Tiffany Boyd, the issue about water is a critical one for the region because of the sustainability of our region itself, the affordability, and as well as the connections as a region, both to the east with Imperial and the border to the south. So we're looking at the water issue holistically, but our long-term trajectory is how do we implement some of the key activities that can bring in decarbonization into the water system. So over the next year, stay connected. We are going to put together, as Dr. McCord said, an implementation playbook. And out of that implementation playbook, we will, with our board direction, be working with regional agencies, including water, the different water districts in the region, in order to address sustainability in a more holistic and intentional way, considering that there's a lot of inequity in the water rights and water distribution, water affordability issues as well. So stay connected, and we will continue this work in a collaborative manner. Thank you.
Gracias, Murtaza. Gracias, Tiffany, por sus preguntas. Gracias, Dr.
Thank you,
McCord.
Murtaza. Thank you for the questions, and thank you for answering the questions. If we don't have any more questions, thank you also to everyone for your participation in our movement. And we ask you to please make comments and or questions on our website or via email. And this will be also available if you want to rewatch it or want to learn more about this initiative. Thank you.